Hi, everyone. My name's Madeline, and I'm here with Scott Cruikshank and Jeff Gibson, and we're doing a year in review. This will be our final market update for the year. We'll go over sales, trends, and everything that happened in the condo market in 2019 and give you some things to look out for in the upcoming year, 2020. We've also got Michael on the camera there. Hi, Michael.
So I think what's interesting about the market in 2019 is a lot of units changed hands. There was over 1,800 units sold in 2018, condo units specifically, just under 1,800 in 2019. So not a huge change. There's about a 2.5%, 2.6% change in volume traded. How did you feel and see that on the resale market, Madeline?
Well, the demand for resale condos is definitely very strong. We did notice that there were some buildings where units just were not coming up, whether that accounts for that slight difference between 2018 and 2019. I think that the demand is there, and that probably speaks to the days on the market being a little bit shorter in 2019. But we've got tons of people looking for resale condos. It continues to be a very favorable lifestyle that people are moving towards. The starting of the LRT running was phenomenal for business, I think, in the summertime. And it certainly led to a very strong fall.
Yeah, it was also interesting to see some of the assignment inventory that took place. We saw two major projects complete this year: Caroline Street private residences in Uptown Waterloo, and the 100 Tower 1 condos on Victoria Street in Kitchener. And we saw all the units that did make it to market at the end of the construction cycle, and they were quickly absorbed by move-in ready buyers. So that was really kind of the first time we've seen all of that inventory get picked up in such a short period of time.
Does everyone watching know what an assignment is? An assignment is when someone has bought a unit pre-construction and they sell it to someone else in advance of the unit being closed.
So we talked about kind of the resale market, like statistically being down slightly, about 2.6% in volume traded. But does that really reflect kind of the market as a whole this year?
We saw an extremely strong 2019 on the pre-construction side. I think, Jeff, to answer your question, the first half of 2019 was some of the inventory that had launched in 19 continuing to sell. So we saw, young condos. There was DTK condos, Garment Street, some of the inventory that had launched previously continued to sell at the first half of the year. Blackstone, as well as a suburban project. We saw the majority of the 2019 launches happen in the fall. It was actually the first time we saw that volume of inventory condensed into a small 3-month sale window. And the Kitchener-Waterloo market absorbed over 750 condos in that period. So I would say, looking at the market as a whole, extremely strong in being able to, to move through that number of units in the fall. We definitely were carrying pent up demand from early in 2019.
So do you think some of that pent up demand or the absorption on the new side, is that relative to not having been enough supply on the market, or is product just getting better and more attractive, and that's driving people to want to get into the market?
I think it's twofold, to be honest. I think, going back to Madeline's point earlier, resale market has got a lot tighter on the supply side. I think you're seeing fewer units come available. Like, there's definitely buildings that there's zero inventory available. So I definitely think you're seeing buyers waiting to strike. We've also seen, a pretty rapid movement in single family home prices locally. A lot of people are looking at condos now as the right option from an affordability perspective. So people, instead of looking at, the average home price, which, is upwards towards 600,000 locally, they're looking at other options in the 3s and 4s, and condos are the products that fall into that category.
2019 was a really good year. People are still happy to buy and excited to buy, whether they're investors or end users getting into the market. We're seeing all the prices continue to climb. I mean, there's still something for everyone. I really think that it's a unique region in that, depending on the location and your wish list, we can still find something in pretty much everyone's budget. But it was a really strong year, and there's no indication that it's slowing down. Like December, I feel like even December, we wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being stronger than November. And this is normally a very quiet time of year.
No, I think it's worth noting, like this is one of the busiest Decembers we've seen in recent years. Buyers are busy and buyers are active. And normally when they're looking at what they need to go out and buy, who they want to buy Christmas present for, or, shopping for last minute gifts, they're looking for condos this year. Yeah, it's pretty credible when you look at kind of that trend from prior years. So I think that just shows the strength of the market and kind of the urgency to get in and be a part of it.
Yeah, for the month of December, we've seen probably 10 to 15 units a week come in on the pre-construction side. Madeline, to your point, usually, people are starting to focus on the holiday season and other items, but that's unprecedented. We haven't seen that pace. So we did see kind of that bulk of the pre-construction 2019 inventory get absorbed between September and November. No question that December of 2019 period has really held up against November for sure.
So I think one of the interesting things about the market overall this year are just how fast things are selling. Last year in 2018, the average unit sat on the market for about 30 days, which is pretty quick. But 2019, that actually decreased to 27 days. So we're definitely seeing units move faster on the resale market, but curious to kind of talk too about how fast things are moving on the pre-con market.
I think if you look at building specific absorption and look at some of the large developments that launched, Condo Culture was a part of all of the major urban launches, which was exciting for us in 2019. But if you look at Station Park as one of the big examples, it was probably, as far as limelight goes, the most anticipated condominium development locally. And I would say that if you look at the overall absorption, we saw the most units that have ever been absorbed in a single period of time happen and take place at Station Park. We basically absorbed nearly 400 units in less than 2 months, which is record setting. I think also if you look at some of the projects that have launched, there's been a big trend in price movement. We're seeing prices at an all-time high, and I think there are some considerations for that. On the resale side, obviously, we're seeing really strong price points based on kind of lack of supply. I think on the pre-construction side, we're seeing price points that need to be where they are based on a couple big trends and factors that happened really starting kind of back in 2018. One of the big ones was the development charge exemption that was in the Kitchener core. So some of the buildings like Charlie West, Garment Street condos, Young condos, they were all falling under the development charge exemption, where the developers had a break on fees associated with building, and were able to offer the product at lower price points, where we saw that diminish. I think roughly mid-February was the time period where that line was drawn. And so any of these launches that we did see in the fall of 19 were on sites and on projects that no longer had any sort of development charge. Also, the City of Kitchener and Waterloo announced increases in development charges. So we not only lost the exemption, went back to baseline, but we actually increased, I think it was about 35% in the core, so significant. And then kind of all the while that this was happening, we saw a major increase in construction costs take place. So we've seen a lot of new starts on the pre-construction side, which is exciting. But what it does, the trade market is really pinched. So we're at a point now where, costs have increased substantially. I think the stat is just shy of 1% per month is the ongoing increase. And so, it's an exciting time to get in, because to be honest, for anyone looking to buy a condo today, 12 months from now, that unit's going to cost 12% more to construct. And that we don't see a break in that anytime soon. So it definitely is kind of something to consider.
We've also got a pulse on some of the things that are happening kind of behind the scenes. These stats don't even really tell the whole picture in that. So maybe Scott, you can kind of comment on where price movement is